to Good to Great Schools Australia webinar on our Music for Learning program. This webinar is all about showing you how to teach music in a way that's engaging and fun, based on cognitive science of learning. Music for Learning is designed to build foundational musical skills, spark creativity, and foster a lifelong love of music in your students. We're excited to share it with you today. You'll learn how to deliver our program through creative curriculum-aligned lessons and inspiring resources. My name is Lynn McKenzie and I am Director of Professional Learning for Good to Great Schools Australia. I'm also a former teacher, principal and Director General of Education in Queensland. Over the next 30 to 35 minutes, we'll explore how our approach empowers teachers, simplifies their lesson delivery, and fosters student engagement through music. But first, let's have a look at a little bit of housekeeping. There's going to be 4 things I just want to raise with you. At the end of the webinar, we've allowed for about 10 minutes of questions and answers. So if you've got any questions during the presentation, you can click on the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. If we can't get to you during the webinar in that last 10 minutes, we'll respond to you within 48 hours. If you want to see all of the presenters during the webinar, you can go to the top of your screen, you can click on View Select, and then select Gallery View. We want to receive your feedback on this webinar. So at the end of the webinar, when you sign off, there'll be a 4-question completion survey, and we'd really appreciate it if you could complete those questions for us. And of course, if you're new here today and you haven't been to one of our webinars before, or if you're not yet a GTSA member, by all means, feel free to sign up today. There's going to be a QR code at the end that you'll be able to sign up with. Let's now meet the other presenters. So over to you, Stephanie and Nia, if you can introduce yourselves.
Thanks, Lynn. Hi, everyone. My name's Stephanie. I'm a teaching coach and curriculum developer at Good to Great Schools Australia. I have around a decade of experience in education, with much of that time dedicated towards direct instruction and literacy intervention. And in my current role, I support schools and coach schools in using evidence-based curriculum resources and also professional learning programs as well.
Thanks, Stephanie. I'm Nir Tzfati, Music for Learning program curriculum developer at GGSA. I'm a singer-songwriter and screen composer. I have around 18 years of experience as a music teacher and a curriculum developer of music programs for children in excellence programs.
All right, before we get started into having a look at the music programs, let's do a quick poll. I'm going to put 2 questions up there. What music-related resources do you currently use in your teaching? And the other question, what challenges do you face when integrating music into your teaching? Now, there'll be a few answers for you in the poll. If you don't see a response that you believe answers that question well for you, then you can pop your response into the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Okay, hopefully everyone's had a chance to pop in their answer. Let's see now what the response from the poll is. Wow. All right, so curriculum-aligned music lessons plans that your school uses. That's great. So you've got those whole school ones. Otherwise, some people are creating their own, and if you are creating your own, you're going to love what you're about to see today. If you're using curriculum aligned ones across the school and you've got an influence about the school, you may at the end of today want to have a chat to your school leaders about how these ones can be integrated in as well. All right, that's great. Thanks for that feedback.
Okay, so we're going to look at today how to deliver engaging music lessons, use ready-to-go resources, and evaluate student progress with practical tools. So we'll also explore some fun hands-on activities. We're going to take a look at a sneak peek at some of our lessons as well. All of these free curriculum materials that we provide you, and also professional development opportunities as well. So firstly, looking at why music matters. Music strengthens executive functions like planning, problem solving, and resilience, while also improving motor skills and brain-body connectivity through rhythm and movement. So it supports social, economic, and mental health outcomes, offering a therapeutic outlet that builds confidence and self-expression, especially for disadvantaged students. So according to the Australian Council for Educational Research, 77% of teachers believe music education is very important for students' educational experience, citing benefits like decreased stress, enhanced social skills, and also improved self-expression. Despite its benefits, however, 75% of teachers feel that they need more training and resources to effectively teach music. So now Nia will introduce Music for Learning.
Thank you, Stephanie. So the Music for Learning program provides tools to teach musical concepts effectively for primary school ages. Those include concepts such as pitch, dynamics, and rhythm. Our program offers engaging, ready-to-use, music-based lessons, which suit students and teachers from all music backgrounds. By that, I mean that is a great starting point for experienced music teachers, but also for substitute teachers who just enter a class and need to teach that lesson right now. I'd say in the poll, I noticed that there was an uncertainty on how to teach music and cover all the different aspects of a lesson. And I think our program, Music for Learning, is exactly for that, because it covers everything in a kara and also gives you a simple and easy to use with all the different resources needed in order to make a successful lesson. As you can see on screen, there are different skill building. We support skill building in rhythm, melody, and musical expression. We've got different resources for easy program delivery, as I said before. And there is you can access extra tools and support with GGSA membership. The benefits for students of this program is, firstly, to feel excited about learning music. We feel in the team of Music for Learning that this is our first priority. We feel music lessons sometimes are set aside in the whole curriculum because there are so many important subjects to teach at school. And we believe it should be fun, it needs to be accessible and meaningful to everyone who learn in that environment. They build confidence by making music, singing, playing instruments like ukulele, keyboard, glockenspiel, and so on. Lessons connect music to students' own lives for lasting impact. By that, we are always thinking about everyday situations where the students meet music, if it's in a restaurant or when they go in the city and see some musicians busking. So we think about that as well. Develop skills, as we said before. We incorporate group projects, which are all, usually they take place in lessons 8 and 9, the end of each unit, basically, to summarize everything we learned through active learning and through activities which are based on performance, as I said, composition, and improvising. I'd like to share with you a video that we've made. It's one example of many bespoke videos that we produced in the program. This one is from year 5-6. The videos are usually here to help demonstrate the concept in a simpler manner and help the teacher understand exactly how to deliver the concept they need to.
We will sing and clap a rhythm. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
So as you could see, we can cover different concepts which are otherwise we feel are harder to put just in text. Such a video makes it so much easier for a teacher to repeat and repeat with the students in class. Unit structure. So how is this all going? Basically, a unit is aligned with the school term. It has 9 weeks of 45 lessons each. Every unit has playing and singing activities using a selection of instruments, as we said before, ukulele, keyboard, glockenspiel, and so on. Students work in groups to create and perform a musical story. Meaning, again, we're working in groups to encourage students to make music together. It also involves listening to each other, which is part of our music program, having different skills such as stage and playing instruments together, and so on. Our program is aligned with the CARA and is adjusted to each year level. So we review the different terms and make sure they're consistent throughout the program and that are simple enough for each age group. It includes different resources such as teaching guides, student workbooks, and any resource that it's essential to get us to a successful lesson. As I've mentioned earlier, the program is split into year bands. So we've got foundation by its own, then year 1, 2, then 3, 4, and 5, 6. I'll just say something about the way it works. We are a team which each team member in Music for Learning is assigned 1 year band. And that means that it's always consistent. The person who works on 1 year band is familiar with all the different terms and is experienced enough also to ask the other team members about different terms if they're not consistent enough in the program. We also review them every so often to make sure there's cohesion maintained. Sorry.
Thanks, Nia. Before we deep dive into the units, you may already have some questions based on that really good overview that Nia presented. So don't forget, there's the little QA button down the bottom. You can pop some questions into there. Let's have a look at a bit more detail now.
Thank you, Lynn. I'm going to share with you now a couple of lessons. I think one of the best things in this program is how we connect essential concepts like high and low sounds. This is how we call pitch in the younger year levels, and connect them with real world applications such as singing and listening to songs they know, or make music together that incorporates those concepts. In the next slides, I want to show you an example of how Music for Learning lessons and units are structured and how they come together to create a cohesive learning experience. I'll start with lesson 1 from the previous unit. Lesson 1 talks all about high and low sounds. This is, again, how we call pitch for this age group.
So all of our lessons open and close in the same way to keep that similar structure and that predictability for students and for teachers as well. So the lessons open with what we are learning. So this is just a clear lesson objective showing a statement of what students are going to learn in that particular lesson. And then we also have what you know, which this kind of outlines the success criteria and shows students by the end of the lesson what they'll be able to know or do essentially at the end of the lesson. And then we have what you know. So this links students' concepts to ideas that they already know, that they're familiar with. So when they're learning new concepts, they can relate it back to something that they understand or can relate to.
Thank you, Stephanie. Maybe I'll just keep going from the same point. We always try and link those concepts to everyday situations. We believe that music is something that we we're all familiar with, and we just need to link that to make that more accessible for students. For example, if we talk about sound in this slide, before we speak about high and low sounds, we say there is sound around us everywhere, in the city, in school, at school, sorry, and so on. We will then move on and dive deeper into high and low sounds, and we start by high and low sounds in nature. So to make that simpler for students to understand high and low in music, or what is a high sound and low sound, we start by playing them a couple of examples, one of a bird, and the other one of a bear. And we simply say, high sounds can remind me of the bear's tweet, and low sounds can remind me of the bear's growl. From there, we will also model that concept of high and low sounds, and we'll use body actions such as lifting our hands up when we hear the bird sound, which are high sounds, or patting our knees when we hear the bear's growl. In this way, a student feels physically how high and low sounds can link to what they do, high and low. From there, we're talking about high and low sounds in music. So we say, okay, we've watched the bird and the bear, and we saw what high sound is and what low sound is. And we can tell students now that musicians can play high and low sounds on different instruments, such as the violin, the guitar, the trumpet, and so on. Once we do that, we give specific examples. We talk about the flute as an instrument that plays high sound, and the tuba, which has the lower register and plays low sounds. Maybe I'll also say that, sorry, I'll move on. So after we've done that, we're going to look at a musical example like Peter and the Wolf. And we will listen to the themes of the bird and the wolf and see how the wolf represents the low sounds and the bird will have high sounds on the piccolo. Later, we'll talk about musicians. Why is there a slide about musicians? So it's a good moment to quickly talk about the way this whole program is written. And at the heart of that program, we have direct instruction. That means that every term we use in class, we make sure students can understand. So if we say the word musicians for years 1, 2, we will firstly say musicians are people who can play and sing, or sing and play musical instruments, and so on. Then we can talk about musicians who sing high and low sounds, or singers who play high and low sounds, and drummers and so on. But then the students already know what musicians are. Later on in the lesson, as you can see, we introduce a song which I'm sure you all know, Do Re Mi from The Sound of Music. Through the song, we will firstly listen. And by the way, that's another DI thing, direct instruction, where we will listen first together. The teacher will sing the song first. Then the student will repeat, they will sing with the teacher. And then we will move on to thinking about the 3 sounds, do, re, and mi, as low, middle, and high sounds, all linked again to high and low sounds. And again, to model that concept, we will use a body ladder, which will help us understand Do as a low sound where we pat our knees. Re as a middle sound where we place our hands on our hips and on our shoulders for Mi, which is a high sound.
So you can see all of that amazing content that is really clearly presented to students, and also the teacher as well. If you're like me and music is not your strong suit, at least it's all clearly already there for you, so you can be confident in teaching the lesson. Towards the end of the lesson, then we have a summary. So just like we have the opening telling students what they're going to learn, at the end there's a summary of what we've learned, which is a few simple sentences highlighting the main parts of the lesson. And then we have an exit ticket, which is a really quick activity just to ensure that teachers are aware of where students are at. Have they grasped the content? Is there something else we need to go back and look at? And also the answers are already provided for the teachers there too. So if you do not know the answers, everything is there ready to go for you. And then we also connect to what we are learning next. So it's clear for students, they're kind of involved in that learning process and really aware of what's coming up next and how does it link to or relate to what they've learned today. And I'll pass on to Nia to go through another amazing lesson from the new unit.
Thank you, Stephanie. So actually, I'm really excited to talk about the next lesson. This one is from the current unit that we are writing at the moment. This is unit 2 of version 3. And this unit is called Around the World. We're going on a journey with the students to listen and explore music from different countries such as Japan, Ghana, Brazil, and so on. We start, as with every lesson, we review what we've done the previous week. In this case, we talked about music from India. And in the next slides, students will remember a few main concepts from the exit tickets, as Stephanie mentioned before, with a question to check understanding of the class. And then we introduced the new lesson, which is about music from Japan. We are linking that first, as we did with high and low sounds. We're linking Japanese music to everyday situations. So that can be a restaurant that maybe one of the kids, or maybe a festival that they've been to and they've listened to some Japanese music. Later on, to make that lesson more of a journey, we start by saying that the teacher says, I received today in the mail 2 postcards from Japan. One says, sending summer sun from Japan, and then music plays of summer music in Japan. And the second one about the spring, so happy spring from Japan. At that point, we tell the kids, people around the world make music about the seasons. And when we move on to this slide of the musical passport, we open an actual musical passport. It's like a notebook that the kids would have in class. And there, since it's like a journey, we are going to glue stamps of each country we're going to visit, in this case, Japan, with the map on the far left. Then we have this really cool travel guide to Japan, and we just tell the kids a little bit about the place they're going to visit. As you can see, we're at the airport and we're just reading a little bit about Japan. We already hear the sound that tells us to go to the gate and take off. Once we take off, we visit Japan on the plane. As you can see, there's a video of koto playing, and let's have a listen to that. once we've listened to a musical example from Japan of the instruments, by the way, this is part of a concept. It's just a sneak peek today, so I'm just giving you the full context. We are talking here about special instruments from Japan. So we introduced the koto, the taiko drums, and the shakuhachi. Once we've done that, we're moving on to review some concepts from the previous unit. As you can see, we were talking about different sounds. Do you remember bird and bird and bear as high and low sound? We have also long and short sounds and soft and loud sounds. Once we review that, we move on and talk about different sounds on the piano or on the keyboard, because the kids are going to play the keyboard. And before we do something in our music lessons, we always review a skill or a concept that we have learned before. In this case, how to find different sounds on the keyboard. We will then move in this lesson about Japan. We were talking about scales. And we introduced scales as a set of sounds that sound good together. And that reminds us of painters who use a set of colors that look good together. From there, we give a few examples of scales, and then we play a little bit from the pentatonic scale. We learn about the 5-note scale, of course, with the black keys on the keyboard, which makes it much easier for the kids to remember. And then they will play some Japanese music based on the pentatonic scale, and also linking all the way back to the beginning of the lesson. This will be related to music about the seasons. This will be music about springtime of the cherry blossom. To finish the lesson, we open again our musical passports, as you can see, with some souvenirs, and we're going to stamp a few musical instruments into our passports. Then we're going to recap everything with what we learned, as Stephanie showed you before. This is something we do in every lesson to ensure everybody knows what just happened in the past 45 minutes. And then we're going to talk about, but just answer a few questions, checking understanding, and say that in our next lesson, we are going to explore music from Ghana. Steph, over to you.
Thanks, Nir. And that was an amazing lesson. As you can see, it's really engaging, even for all of us. Seeing a passport in a lesson that you get to stamp is really great for all to keep all students engaged. So now we're going to look at some of our resources. So if you're new to Good to Great Schools Australia's curriculum programs, I want to show you how our student workbooks and teaching guides actually work. So if you take a look at the page from our lesson on the left, you can see the exit ticket in our lesson correlates with the student workbook. And both of these in turn correlate with our teaching guide notes on the right. So students can see the lesson, complete the activity in the student workbook, and then the teacher uses the content on the right as a guide to explain what's happening in the slide and what's needed from the class. So it's essentially a script that keeps you on track with what's happening in the lesson, so you can adequately explain these concepts to the students.
So thank you so much, Nia and Stephanie. That was great, both for having a look at those units and the presentation so far. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, you can pop them down in the Q&A part. But before we go on, I just want to go on to a poll again, just in terms of what you thought. Our question this time is, what's the most valuable part of the lesson that you just saw? So there's a few options have come up for responses to that. Again, if your response doesn't come up, the one that you want to give, just pop that into the Q&A and we'll be able to go. So there's the responses there. I'll just give you a moment to have a look at those. All All right, we love getting your feedback. Yes, the majority is saying it's ready to teach, no padding required. And that's the beauty of it. It's the total package for a teacher. And the quality of the resources, terrific. We're loving that you're seeing the same as what we're seeing, and certainly what the developers have tried to put into these programs, and have definitely succeeded in doing that, which is fantastic. Stephanie, can you take us through what other musical resources have we got available through Good to Great Schools Australia?
Yeah, sure. So looking at our curriculum resources, we've already discussed the teaching guide and the student workbook, but we also provide ready-to-go assessment tasks and progression indicators with marking rubrics all ready to go, as well as professional learning modules, which we'll take a look at in a second too. So all of these resources are hopefully you can see they simplify the lesson preparation time while ensuring that you can teach music confidently and effectively, no matter what stage you're at or how much experience you have with teaching music. We also have band camp. So this is a week-long program where students immerse themselves in music and dance, and this is guided by experienced tutors who help them build skills and confidence. And across the week, students take part in full band rehearsals, instrument tutorials, choir singing, and even cultural dances, culminating in a concert at the Yarrabah Festival to showcase their achievements. So beyond music, the camp also fosters friendship, cooperation, and cultural exchange as well, offering young people the chance to connect with one another, to learn, and to celebrate both Indigenous and Western traditions in a supportive and fun environment. So through focused practice and performance, students have the chance to really grow their musicianship, perfecting their instrumental technique and gaining their confidence to perform for an audience. So many teachers tell us that they see huge leaps in student engagement and enthusiasm, both during the camp and even when students return back to the classroom. So the final band performance brings families and the community together, celebrating your students' achievements and inspiring them to develop their musical talents. So now let's take a look at a recent performance with one of our band camps.
So, as I've mentioned before, we are currently writing Unit 2 of version 3. Version 3 is the current version that we are releasing slowly into the world. I wrote a couple of notes here, but I'll add some that I really feel I should share, but I'll tell you a couple of things. Firstly, we've got those immersive themes that inspire curiosity, such as music around the world, animals, sports, and so on. Creative hands-on activities such as composing, performing, and experimenting with sound. That is something that we do always. I'll just tell you a quick note about our program. We started our team by reviewing the previous program version, and our main conclusion was to have the kids play and sing and be active in those music lessons as much as possible. And I think at the moment, we're in a very, very, very good position in that sense. Also, alignment with the CARA standard. So we're always checking and reviewing and making sure all our programs are aligned with the CARA. So stress-free in that sense, cross-curricular learning and fun assessments, including musical storytelling and team anthems. So as you could see in that lesson from Unit 2, we are always reviewing and improving those lessons to be, again, accessible, meaningful, and fun as much as we can. and simple enough for any teacher to teach. As you said in the poll, that was important for you to have that ready to use, ready to teach right away, plug and play kind of lessons. I think Unit 1 and now 2 are doing exactly that. By the way, in Unit 2, we have some cool videos. You're going to see me on screen doubled.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you wanna do.
Thanks so much, Nia. And how lucky are we that we've got such an experienced, not just a music educator, but a musician himself that's presenting with us today and the writer of these programs. So just remember, if you have any questions, and there's some questions, really good questions coming in, so that's great. But if you have any, we've only got about 2 more slides before we're going to start doing the question and answers. So the last question I've got for you, Steph, what professional development support is available through Good to Great Schools Australia?
Okay, so let's take a look at our Mastery Teaching Pathway, which is our professional development platform for educators and school teams. This is available to all members and offers certified training and coaching aligned with Australian National Teaching Standards and school improvement goals. It's designed for everyone in education, from principals to teaching assistants, and equipping them with essential skills needed for success. And then we also have our professional learning modules, which are grouped by purpose to support different professional learning needs. So the course modules focus on building effective teaching knowledge and confidence across all subjects. And then we have our program-specific modules like music, for example. So this offers deep training aligned to specific programs with an overview of the program, teaching practices, different instructional strategies. It goes through different scenarios, the unit and lesson components, and then also assessments and success criteria as well. So then we also have practice modules, and these are short targeted lessons to address specific teaching challenges, whether it's sticking to the script, whether it's practicing signaling or setting up the classroom for success. Teachers can go through and pick the practice module that best suits their needs. And then we have collegial modules. So they're designed for whole school teams to learn together, and they're perfect for student-free days with a focus on evidence-based practices.
Look, over half of the primary schools in Australia are members of Good to Great Schools Australia, and they've got access to these free resources. So if you're not yet a member, and you've seen a little snippet today about the quality of the resources, how they can reduce your teacher workload. They're a really good guide for effective teaching, super engaging for students, and real focus on students mastering their knowledge and skills. So, you know, if you haven't, it's definitely worth having a look at, because these resources are free and your membership's free. So it's definitely something that's worth considering. Now, going to questions and answers. I'm going to combine 2 questions because I think they're much for muchness, but coming at it from different angles. So I think this one's for you, Nia. Are there any ideas for differentiation, particularly for older students, some of whom may learn instruments by then? And then at the same time, what supports for students who've got additional learning needs, who are less confident in music? So either end, those that are already quite advanced in musical skills and those that actually need a lot of support. How do the lessons cater for that?
It's a great question. I think, firstly, to answer that in full, I'd be happy to email the person who asked that question some examples from year 5, 6, and 3, 4, because as you noticed today, my focus is year 1 and 2. And while I know quite okay on the upper year levels, I think it's best to answer that in full and detail. But I'll say that all our lessons are built in such a way that are, in that sense, could be a starting point. So if we started with a song like the Do Re Mi, I'm pretty sure that a teacher who has some more experience teaching students who are already playing instruments would be able to develop that further, meaning you won't be having to start developing your own ideas in the lesson, but it will give you that sense of where the lesson could go later. By the way, just by looking at a few of the newer lessons of year 5, 6, I can say that some of the themes are much more advanced than, of course, what's happening in year 1, 2. For example, they're talking about indigenous music, comparing different instruments. By the way, one of their super cool activities in year 5, 6 is to write your own rap and do some beatboxing, which I think maybe answers a little bit that question, in that sense that beatboxing is usually not something we take classes in or learn at school. So hopefully that is a good answer for that. Have I missed anything?
No, that's terrific, Nia, and certainly being able to send that response out through email within the next 48 hours, that would be great to go and chat to the team about the specifics for those older students. That's wonderful. And Stephanie, I'm not sure if this one's for you, and Nia, it might be for you, but how does your program compare to others such as Amplify?
I think the main difference would be, if I'm not mistaken, Amplify is US based and we are Australian. So all of our curriculum programs align to ACARA standards, and we've taken that in mind when designing and developing. All of our resources are free, and I can answer the question on the bottom about the GGSA membership. Also, the membership is free. So it's not just like you have to pay a membership fee and then get all these free resources. Everything from start to finish is actually free and will always stay that way. So I know, Lynn, you're going to go into that in depth next about how to actually sign up and whatnot, but that would be our point of difference.
That's terrific. Thank you. And we will go on to that actually next in terms of the membership. You can see a QR code there. So if you are not a member yet, as Steph said, it's free to join. It's free to get the resources. There's no bill coming after that. So that's one of the strong points of differences. It's developed here in Australia and is available to all Australian schools. So if you wanted to be an individual, you can click on that QR code down the bottom or take a camera shot of it, and you can join yourself up. However, there's also a partner school membership. It's also free. The difference between a partner school and an individual membership is that with partner school memberships, you also get access to up to 10 hours of free coaching. So if, for instance, you're going to implement music across the curriculum, you could get some support around how to do that in a specific to your school way. But also there's tracking tools to managing student data, etc. It's a huge advantage to be part of that school membership. It requires your principal to sign up. So if you're a principal, you can actually contact us on that email there, info@goodtogreatschools.org.au, and ask to be joined the partner school membership. If you're not a principal, you can go and have a chat to your principal about that. And as we mentioned, it's free regardless of which one you joined through. Now, the other thing I just wanted to mention before we finish is that to thank you all for coming today, and there's a couple of free gifts coming your way. We've put together two lessons from the Music for Learning program, and it'll give you a bit of a taste test. They'll be emailed directly out to you. If though you can't wait till you receive that email in the next 24 hours, you can definitely have a look at that QR code that's on your screen at the moment, and that'll take you directly to those 2 lessons as well, and you'll get a more detailed look yourself. Certainly, thank you again. Thank you to our wonderful presenters, Nia and Stephanie. Thank you so much. And to everyone for being here. You can see there's some more QR codes. If you aren't on our email list, once you become a member, you'll be on our email list, but you'll be able to just go onto that QR code for the ones that are coming up in the future. We've certainly got ones coming up on that musical that's available through Good to Great Schools Australia. Really good musical that integrates science and music and performance. And we've also got ones on direct and explicit instruction if you want to know more about that teaching technique that Nia was talking a lot about, delivering special education using direct instruction. And there's many, many more coming up. But for today, just want to say thank you again for being here, and we look forward to seeing you at the next webinar.